If you've never driven rural Montana in November, let me tell you what it's like. It's not scenic the way people expect. In summer, sure. But in November it's brown and gray and the sky does this thing where it sits low, like it's pressing down. You lose cell signal for stretches. The towns are small, really small, like 200-person small, and the distance between them is the kind of distance that makes you do mental maths about your fuel gauge. Route 191 runs from roughly the Idaho border up through Big Sky country toward Bozeman. Long, straight, mostly empty. The kind of road where you can go 40 minutes without seeing another vehicle. Good road surface, but out there. Out in a way that city people don't have a word for. My name is Jake Tessler. I'm 38. I'm a supply chain manager based in Denver. I was driving up to Bozeman for a supplier meeting. I'd chosen to drive rather than fly because I had equipment in the back end because, honestly, I like the drive. I'd done it twice before but always on US 287, the more populated route. This time I'd been told 191 was faster for the final stretch and I'd taken it. It was around 6 p.m., dark already, temperature outside was -8 Celsius. I had maybe a quarter tank left, which sounds okay, but in that cold, that remote, a quarter tank is the thing you want to fix before it gets any lower. I checked maps. It showed a gas station, just a pin, no name, just the fuel pump icon, 11.8 miles ahead. I drove for it. Pause for tension. The station came up on the right, mall, single canopy over two pumps. Cinder block building behind it with a hand-painted sign that I couldn't read clearly at first. One of the two pumps had a light on. The other was dark and looked like it had been dark for a while. There was a light on inside the building. I pulled in. The surface under my tires was rough. The canopy had rust at the edges. There was a Pepsi machine near the door that was off. But one pump was lit. The building had a light. I assumed somebody was keeping the basics running even if the place looked rough. A man came out before I had gotten my door fully open, older, maybe 65, wearing blue coveralls with a name patch. I couldn't read the name. He had the movement of someone who'd done this job a long time, and hurried, deliberate. He wiped his hands on a cloth as he walked toward me, which struck me as a very specific period-correct gesture, like something from a movie set in the 1970s. He looked at me and said, "Fill it up, Jake." Pause for tension. I want to be really specific about the next few seconds because I've gone over them a lot. My first reaction was not fear, it was confusion. The flat factual confusion of a thing that doesn't compute. I thought, is this someone I know? Do I know this man? I ran through it quickly. No. I'd never been to this station. I'd never been on this road. I said, "How do you know my name?" He looked at me with an expression I could only describe as mild and slightly puzzled. Like I'd asked him a question with an obvious answer. He said, "You stop here every time." I said, "I've never been on this road before." He nodded slowly, not agreeing with me. Just nodding in the way someone nods when they're waiting for you to finish. Then he said, "You want to fill up or not?" Cold night. My brain made a decision before I consciously made it. I got back in the car. I did not ask him to stop. I did not wait for him to step away. I put the car in reverse, pulled out onto 191, and drove. I drove for 10 minutes before I could make myself think clearly. The name thing. He knew my name. My car is registered in Colorado, but my name is not on the plates. I had no sticker, no tag, nothing identifying. I was wearing a jacket with no name on it. I'd been in the car alone. There was no way, no normal way, he could have known my name. I got signal back around 8 miles further on. I pulled over and looked up the station on Google Maps. Pause for tension. The pin was still there. When I tapped it, the listing came up. And it had reviews. 47 reviews. Recent ones. The most recent 3 months ago. I started reading them. The first one said, "Strange little place, but the guy there was friendly. Knew my name before I introduced myself. Figured someone had called ahead somehow. 3 stars, pumps are slow." The next one, my wife and I stopped for gas. The attendant called both of us by name before we said anything. We assumed it was a small town thing or we'd met before. Can't explain it. I kept reading. Different people, different dates. Different states on their car registrations listed in the reviews. 47 reviews. Every single one mentioned the same thing. The attendant knew their name. Pause for tension. I called the Gallatin County office when I got to Bozeman. Explained I was trying to get information on a gas station on 191. The woman I spoke to looked it up and said, that station's been closed since 2009. The owner passed. The property's in a title dispute. It hasn't been operational in 15 years. I checked my fuel gauge, quarter tank, exactly where it was before I stopped. I reported it to Google to have the listing looked at. It took 3 weeks, but the pin was eventually removed. Last I checked, it's gone. The 47 reviews are still archived. I screenshotted all of them before they disappeared. 47 different people stopped at a station that's been closed for 15 years. And every single one of them came away with a full tank. And every single one of them had their name called before they said a word. I've thought about it for months. The thing that bothers me most isn't the name, it's the phrase he used. You stop here every time. Every time. What does that mean for the times I don't remember?